All right, we're gonna make some leveled up ramyeon, aka ramen. So the great thing about this dish is you can use whatever veggies that you want. The protein we're gonna use is tofu, but the veggies are just open to whatever it is that you want to toss in. I'm gonna be using peppers, bok choy, zucchini, onion, cabbage, and carrots. We're going to use about half of a medium onion, slice it up nice and thin. For the zucchini, about half of a medium-sized zucchini. And this one is fresh from the garden, so I'm going to keep the skin on and chop it up into quarters. So you end up with about a half a cup of zucchini. All right, half of a long carrot, which ends up giving about a third of a cup to nice thin carrot sticks. For the cabbage, slice it up, get half a cup of cabbage. And as I said, for the peppers, I'm going to be using 3 different ones, partly for the color and the nutrients. So I'm using an orange pepper, red pepper, and green pepper. And I want just enough of the 3 colors roughly, so all 3 of the pieces would be about half of a pepper. And we're going to dice those up into pretty generous sized pieces. And for the tomatoes, I like to use cherry and grape tomatoes just because they have that little bit of sweetness. So half the cherry tomatoes and the grape are a little bit bigger, so we're going to cut those into quarters. So they're similar in size to the pieces of the cherry. 5 garlic cloves, smash and mince. And 1 green onion sliced up for our garnish. And for the tofu, I'm going to use just a third of a brick of tofu. And you can cut it up to whatever size. I would just say make sure that, fits onto a spoon. I'm going with about a 1/2 inch long by about a 1/4 wide. There you have it. We've got our tomatoes, peppers, zucchini, carrots, cabbage, onions, bok choy, and tofu. And the heart of your ramyeon flavoring is gochujang. This is a fermented Korean chili paste, and it is amazing. And I use it in cooking Korean recipes, I use it in sauces, and I'm starting to experiment and use it in all sorts of recipes now. Highly recommend it. Something to note, so far, at least all of the commercial brands that I have been seeing in the stores, they all have wheat in them. We have a local company that actually produces amazing kimchi, but they also make their gochujang, which is vegan, but also has no wheat at all. And then we've got our tamari. We're going to add some rice vinegar. Maple syrup. Thank you to the amazing Joanne Lee Molinaro from the Korean Vegan, who has taught me that I don't need to use mirin anymore. Anytime Asian cooking wants something sweet, I throw in maple syrup and it tastes pretty darn good. And gochugaru. This is Korean chili powder. And you can get it in the fine powder or you can get it in the flakes. To add depth and some umami to our ramyeon broth, we're going to add in some dulce. And the ramyon noodles that I'm using are buckwheat. They're amazing. They hold their shape really well. So the noodles stay nice and firm, even the next day or 2 days later if you're eating the leftovers. This particular brand does make a millet and quinoa version of the ramen, but I found that one got soft and it absorbed too much liquid. I definitely recommend sticking to the buckwheat. The buckwheat is just perfect for ramyeon. Okay, let's start cooking. So you need about a tablespoon of oil, a neutral oil such as grapeseed. And once it's nice and hot, I'm going to add in our onions. Stir them around a little bit. They start to soften, about a minute or so. Next, we'll add in our cabbage. They're about a couple minutes. I find cabbage can sometimes take a little bit of time. So this is all at medium heat. Add in our carrots, mix it up. And our zucchini. And you'll notice that I have some zucchini left over. It turns out, in terms of just ratio, I like to balance the veggies. I ended up cutting up a bit too much zucchini. I mean, you can add it all in if you want, make it a bit zucchini heavy. I want more of a balance between the vegetables, so I'm not going to add in all of the zucchini. All right, let's add in our garlic, stir it up. All right, 1 tablespoon of the gochujang. 2 tablespoons of tamari. Tablespoon of vinegar. 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. And then mix it all around. Coat up your veggies. I'm going to add in about a half a tablespoon of gochujang. If you want it spicier, go for it. I would recommend maybe starting at half a tablespoon if you're new to the gochujang chili flakes. And then you can start adding more to your taste. Now it's time for the broth. So the way that I do my broth is I actually use a bouillon powder. So I'm going to add in my 4 cups. We want 4 cups of broth. So I added 4 cups of water, and now I'm going to add in 4 teaspoons. So 1 teaspoon per cup of water. This particular brand, I have talked to them. It is not certified gluten-free. So if you are celiac, please use a vegetable broth that has been certified gluten-free. All right, stir it all around. Now we're going to add in our peppers. I like them a little bit on the firm side, so that's why I didn't add them in earlier when I was cooking up the rest of the veggies. Add in our tofu. We're going to keep the greens aside. They're one of the last things that we're going to add. And the dulce, I forgot. Could have added those in earlier, but that's fine. So I take out and just tear it up. So I've got about just under a teaspoon of dulce flakes. Do the taste test. Make sure that your flavors are working well. Remember, we still have in the greens to add the bok choy, and we still have the noodles. So you want your broth to be strong tasting at this point. If it tastes weak, once you add in those additional ingredients, it's going to taste even weaker. So now's the time to start tweaking. And if you need to add in a little bit more savoriness, add a little bit more soy sauce. If you wanted it a little bit spicier, if you wanted a little bit more depth. So think about, what else? All right, bring it up to a simmer. And once your veggies are, part way cooked, you're going to want to add in your noodles. Toss them in. And they don't take very long to cook. It depends on how soft or how firm you want them. Anywhere from, I'd say, about 5 to 8 minutes. Once your noodles are right, just a minute or 2 away from the consistency that you want them, now it's time to add in the greens. And the greens don't take long. So add in your bok choy. It takes a minute or 2 for it to start wilting. And it's at this point, too, that I like to add in the tomatoes. And I just want them to soften. And we are done. Go ahead and garnish with the green onion. Optionally, if you wanted to, you could add a hard-boiled egg on top. I know traditionally ramyeon is eaten with a fried egg on top, but I just really felt like a hard-boiled egg, so that's what we went with. There you go. Leveled up ramyeon. Enjoy. And if you like the recipes that you're seeing here and want to see more, like and hit subscribe.